Welcome back to Tater Talk. I'm Rachel.
And I'm Haley.
And in today's episode, we are going to talk about potato accessibility with another one of our potato experts. There are plenty of them. But today is with Donnie Krautscheid. He is our Director of Ag Services.
Yes, and Donnie received his degree in agronomy and crop science from Washington State University. So big fan of our Pacific Northwest area. He's been with Lamb Weston since 2002 and has really had another plethora of jobs. So we're going to list off a few. So he started off as a production supervisor, then a field supervisor, and then a partner grower supervisor. But wait, there's more. In 2007, he became field manager and then manager of ag services before leading us to where he is today as our director of ag services.
Yeah, so we hope you enjoy today's episode with Donnie.
Yeah, Donnie, thank you for being here. We're so excited to have you on the show on Tater Talk podcast. We're really looking forward to talking to you.
Well, thanks. I'm glad to be here. I've watched a few of your episodes, so I'm glad to be able to join in and share with you guys.
Yeah, thank you. A new fan. Awesome. Well, thank you so much. We hear a lot at Lamb Weston. I think this might even be something when you first start, you hear it at least once, is this idea of a one pile theory or one big pile or something like that within our potato utilization program, I know this is a big question to start, but can you kind of talk more about that? Tell us how it started or what it means, and maybe we can go from there.
Yeah, that's a great discussion topic. the one pile theory, right? So how do we manage this thousands and thousands of tons of potatoes that we have in the Columbia Basin, and how we do that to meet our customers' goals and expectations for what we're trying to deliver? And it really goes back to, we have such a great footprint here in the Columbia Basin of production facilities, and we have a wide variety of fields all the way from up in the North Basin to Quincy, all the way down to the Boardman area. So we have a huge footprint of where we grow the potatoes to meet some of the needs of our plants on a daily basis. And so the big pile theory is that we have all these different fields available to help support the production of at any of our facilities at any time. So we can use those potatoes in Quincy, or we can use them in Boardman, wherever they have the best fit. And that gives us the best chance at meeting what we need for our customers day in and day out.
I think it's so interesting too. And I think I've heard about this sometimes too. It's like based off of what product we're doing and the different plants. And it just is so funny. Again, I think I've said this every single episode. And like the little detail that goes into things and the mapping it out. And we were talking to Mark earlier, and it goes into a little bit more of our consistency and stuff like that too, because of those decisions that we're making.
Absolutely. I mean, we collaborate with the ag team with our plant teams on how do we schedule those potatoes. And, I think on a previous podcast, I saw you guys talking to Ashley and Jeff, and they mentioned something about storages, and we like to call them hotels, not hospitals, right? So the best the potatoes will be are the day we put them into that storage. And our job is to maximize their effective use the rest of the season until the next harvest. And so when we have them in storage, we can, again, move those around to the plants that can make the right products that they're trying to target with those potatoes. And so we have that ability. The same situation is if we have a storage that's not that great of quality, we have a lot of plants that can all help manage to utilize those potatoes in an effective way, still delivering to our customers' expectations, which is a big differentiator from a plant that's just by itself, and you're stuck with whatever pile you've got that year.
Right. And so that just goes hand in hand into like the different types of cuts and grades, right? That will be utilizing for the potatoes.
Yeah, and then a lot of our plants make different items, and so we can make sure we move the potatoes that are the best for those items to the different plants, and we share the pile. So that's part of our job in the ag team, is to help make sure we're doing it in the most cost-effective way as well. So we don't put extra cost into it, but we still deliver what the plants need to make their finished quality specs every day.
Awesome. Yeah, there's so much that goes into it. And I think it's so easy to think about literally one big pile. Like you imagine all the potatoes we ever pull in one big pile, and that would be wild. But the idea that we have all of these moving pieces and parts and everybody plays a role. I mean, we talk about this every single episode as well, is how critical it is that we have people knowing all these processes so that we can move them around this one big pile idea. So how has that helped you with this process?
Well, that's very interesting, because we talk about this right in PQ, right? The process quality training. And one of the things we cover is how do we disposition this big pile of potatoes that is the most effective use of those potatoes for our factory. And so we talk about it right at the get-go as new supervisors come into the company. How do we use the potatoes? And part of it is knowing the information. And we have a pile of information and we speak with data. So we have field samples, storage samples, into production samples. We have all these different quality samples based on the raw that helps us make those decisions on where is the best place to put these potatoes.
I know we've already talked about, I can't remember what episode it was in. I think it was just Blue and actually about PQ training. Can you talk a little bit about that more too, and just the value behind all that goes into PQ training and beyond?
Yeah, I've been teaching for about 15 years the raw product section of PQ. So back to when it was on overhead projectors to where we're at today, and it's come a long ways into where the QA team has taken it beyond. It's a great program. It's the core fundamentals of Lamb Weston, how we build quality in, deliver food safe, teach our new people how to do it. And so and then we put them out into the world to go learn it on the floor. They've got the basics that they should be able, the fundamentals of how we execute on that. And it's a core thing to Lamb Weston.
Yeah, it's awesome. We spoke with Mark McCoy earlier, and of course people, but we also touched on like processes and technological advancements too. How much has that impacted the way we're better able to share this one pile?
Yeah, I think that's we continue to look for new investments in technology on the raw side, and even in our technology side for how we can forecast better. And so when we're looking at all these field samples that we're digging during the year, now we've got more infrared data, we've got more imagery, we've got more temperature data and long-term weather forecasting, so we can try and forecast out where we think the crop is going to finish and give us a better chance at adjusting our cut mix or how we want to utilize that cut mix before we put those potatoes in the storage. Because once they're in the storage, that's where they're going to be until they get used. So we want to make sure we put them in the right storage so that they have the right horizon when they're going to be utilized. And so using that technology that we're looking at outside of the company internally, we're continuing to improve our own internal processes within the system that we use to streamline it, whether that's new Domo reports or Power BI reports or whatever the reporting is that we didn't have in the old days. We really come a long way since then. So it's trying to make it more digestible and easier for our teams to use and our growers when we share data with our potato growers.
How does all of that, I know there's a lot of layers to what you just talked about. How is that a differentiator? How does that make us as Lamb Weston a differentiator in the ag and potato space?
Yeah, I think for us, I mean, we are leading the charge in some of those avenues. So we're bringing some of that information to our growers to drive continuous improvement with our growers on that side, so we get better quality delivered. And you see in the market, our growers like working with us because they know they're going to get some of that help to help drive their improvement. And so when we're talking about food safety or people safety or quality to the growers, they know that we're not just talking about it, we're living it as well. And so they get to see that, and then it's easier for them to absorb when we pull those things forward.
Is that a little bit of us doing more of like the grunt work to be able to showcase that information to them?
Well, in some cases, it's the work is being done already, but how can you deliver it to our partners and our growers who can effectively utilize that in a way that's usable? Because if you just, hit them with a bunch of data and they cannot digest it, it doesn't go anywhere, right?
Yep.
So, we're even we've got an agronomy newsletter that we put out quarterly now that is a way to connect with our growers and share things with them in a way that we haven't in the past.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so I had no idea. So this is more, again, a Haley question.
We're pointing, there's always a Haley question.
Yeah, and I know, it's one of those things where you ask smart people questions that may not be so smart, but that's okay. Is there, do you meet up with partner growers? I know there was a big meeting with partner growers, I think last year.
Yep.
Is this a really regular occurrence, more frequently than just annual, or?
Yeah, on a regular basis, we're meeting with growers, going to the farm and chatting with them, and especially during the growing season. During this time of the year, in between crops, that's when we get a lot of the reporting done, and we can show them their performance, and then how they performed against others in their same area, and to where the areas of improvement are needed. And then we look at just in our overall scope of things, here are the growers that are towards the bottom for a certain attribute. What do we already learn that we can help them to help them deliver better quality and lift them up, so when they get lifted up, the plants see better quality and we have better performance.
Yeah, right. when they win, we all win.
Yeah.
So, okay.
Is there anything else about One Pile? Anything else that you do that you want people to know that you're like? Because I think that's the one thing that we've talked to. Like, a lot of this is there's so many worker bees in every single situation that people have no idea about, and so I know we're going to continue to have conversations. We're going to talk to more people in your space. But is there anything that you'd want people to know about, or anything about One Big Pile? Any of that you want to broadcast?
Yeah, I think just a reminder that when we look at things on a crop year basis, but we're already making plans 3 years out. So if we get new varieties or new customer approvals for varieties, we're trying to already forecast out and start ramping up seed for those new varieties for our plants who are asking for it. And so although we're always in the heat of the battle in the season, we're also in the heat of the battle 3 years ahead already, and they're actually looking ahead.
Yeah. A constant battle.
It is. There is always something going on. There's never a shortage of work to do.
I can only imagine.
Hopefully it's a little fun too.
It is. It is a great spot to be. And Lamb Weston is a great company to work.
Very cool.
Well, thank you for your time. This was awesome and really good. Again, more insight. And I think we've heard, I know when we do our onboard trading, you hear about One Big Pile, and it's always just like elusive room.
Yeah.
That's all you really know about.
Potatoes in a
Big
room.
potatoes in a room. And so this, I hopefully help shed some light to people on what exactly that means and the work that goes into it.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Great.
Thank
for your time.
you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
And that's all for today's episode. We just want to thank Donnie for being a part of the conversation.
Yes. And if you enjoy this episode, again, please make sure you subscribe, send this to somebody who would like it, leave a review, but also make sure to click the link and tell us who you want to hear from in future podcast episodes. So as always, we will see you next time on Tater Talk.
Bye.
Bye.